It is the 19th day of the month of March. A very good evening to you. Welcome to Power Brief. And tonight we discuss matters to do with the impeachment debate of the Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya. We are joined by Mr. Milton Lucheri, who is a public policy analyst, and also we have Mr. Mark Vivian Vincent, who is a political analyst and a political consultant. Join us tonight as we discuss this matter. Remember, we are also live on our Facebook, that is CAC TV Kenya, and you can also stream live on our YouTube channel. My name is Cornelius Omuse, and I welcome you to join us on this powerful discussion. Gentlemen, welcome on the show. Thank you. We will not shake hands because you know what is happening. It's just part of adhering of the corona issue. Yes. Briefly tell us what is happening in your place and also what is happening in your place as far as corona menace is concerned.
Corona has brought a culture change that has not been there before. You know, as Kenyans and Africans, we like exchanging greetings by shaking hands. And if someone doesn't shake your hand, you a little bit become uneasy about that. So it's a new culture that we are experiencing. My only worry is that if it's gonna proceed even after the corona has been treated, I don't know if that culture will continue. Secondly, there's also the installation of hand sanitizers, which actually has at least improved the general hygiene of the people. And third, it has brought a sense of unification amongst Kenyans, and not just Kenyans, but the entire globe. We feel like we belong to a human community and a human family, facing the same threat, facing the same, of course, facing the same threats. So it's a unification factor in some way. But my prayer is that we're able to find the cure, maybe task the University of Nairobi and the University of Kenyatta University School of Medicine, task them to see whether we can also join other world ventures in terms of finding the cure for this, as opposed to closing universities.
Many thanks, Mr. Milton. Mr. Mark Vivian, how about your locality and the places that you've interacted with fellow Kenyans?
It goes without say that we are social beings. And as a social being, we love to interact with each other. So the menace, the pandemic of coronavirus has really destabilized the way of our interaction, the way we are doing our things. But again, I believe it's also a wake-up call for us as Kenyans, especially, because it's a global thing. But realize right now, there is nobody who will want to go and seek treatment anywhere else. All of us are concentrated on receiving treatment in our own locality. So this should also sound some bells, that it's high time that we really need to work on our health facilities, so that not just for the coronavirus pandemic, but for any other disease that any Kenyan, any government official may be suffering from, we may have equipment, we may have resources that are well versed to handling such a kind of the things. So you realize this coronavirus is bringing like equity as far as medical attention is concerned. So let all those policymakers, and I thank God I have my brother Lucheri here, let us now work on strategies that are going to empower our facilities, our health facilities, so that when anyone is facing any kind of ailment, should not think about going abroad, but should just have trust and faith in the equipment and the facilities that we have at hand.
Yeah. Many thanks, gentlemen.
And maybe to say, you know, like we should not like treat it with so much threats. Like when I walked in through the gate, I got sanitizer. When I walked through the stairs, I got sanitizer. When I was in the office, I got sanitizer. So I believe everybody is here with such a, we should not fear greeting hands. We should not fear. We should only fear when we walk in places where we feel the general hygiene has not been catered for. When we walk in places where we feel there's no such a kind of sanitization. And my plea goes to the entire nation, that if you have sanitizer, share with the one who doesn't have. Because by you just keeping it in your bag and denying the next person sitting to you the same, you're also making yourself more vulnerable to it. So when we go even in the supermarkets, and we buy everything there. So if I have like 20 liters of sanitizer in my house, and my 5 neighbors don't have, then I'm still at risk. So let us learn to share the little that we have, and also make sure that each one around us is taking that precaution.
All right. Thank you very much, gentlemen. I see you're so much deep in it until I was starting to think, can we jump the fence? But that was not for today. Now, back to our topic. We are here to do politics and to look into matters politics. After the handshake, there have been so many developments on the political arena in the country. And one politician has been on the receiving end, and this is the deputy president. Before reggae was stopped temporarily, something had come up where you saw members of parliament allied to Raila and those allied to President Uhuru Kenyatta came up with a debate to do with impeachment of the deputy president. Before we sink deep into this matter, Deep himself has been out saying that there is no rift between him and the president and that there are few individuals who are working tireless to put them apart. So in one word, both of you, do you think the DP is genuine on this matter?
It's quite clear that there is a rift in the executive. You remember the history of it is that in 2013, Ruto was running on URP and the president was running on TNA. But when it came to 2017, these two parties merged and they formed one party. And it brought about 14 parties together so that they could form the next government, of which they successfully did. And you also remember 2017, 2018, there was good rapport. Even public relation was very good between the president and the deputy president. But now problem came March 9, when the famous or infamous handshake took place. You found that Raila came in on board and he said that we have, for the sake of the unification of the country, we have decided to shake hands. And it was good for the country, which was experiencing a lot of turmoil, political turmoil then. But if you look at it from a political point of view, this was the torpedo that sank the Jubilee boat. The torpedo that made sure that Ruto is out of the picture. If you were to look at it keenly, you will realize that it is a technique that Raila has used over and over again, even in times past. You remember when his party LDP joined KANU, and he, of course, wanted to ruin KANU.
The issue of the cock sawing a tractor, and then later on the tractor ran on the cock.
That is why he gave the famous statement that Jogo alimeza tinga kasahau kuzima engine. Yeah, so it is the same scenario that was replaying itself in 2000 and the March of 2018. So basically, if you look at it keenly, is that the rift is there. Even the functions that the president is attending, you will not see the vice president. Like today, there was a press conference. You didn't see the vice president there. On the issue of corona, he must have. It is expected that he should be there with the president, or even issuing a statement on behalf of the government, the way he did some time back. But he's quiet. He's very silent about it. That means that the brotherly romance that was there between them is no longer there. And that points to the fact that indeed there is a rift.
So there's that indication. Let's hear from Mr. Vincent whether it is true or the DP is right that bado ule undugu uko intact.
I agree with the DP that the brotherhood is still intact. The brotherhood is still intact. I believe what the rift that is in between president and his deputy is political rift. But the brotherhood, it is still there.
Initially, the brotherhood was a political brotherhood, ama hii ndugu kama yako na Milton.
I think politics is an animal that full of conflicts. It's an animal that if it's not viewed with a microscopic observation, you may think people are enemies, you may think people are way apart, but trust to me, I'm yet to see a declaration made by Ruto himself, made by the president, that we are no longer at ease working together. And I believe that will be a paradigm shift that is going to change the landscape of the politics as far as the DP and the president is there. What if this is also a tactic that it wants to silence some critics, take them back to their bedroom to sleep, and then when they hit so hard to the point that nobody is there to recover. Because we don't have just to ignore and say there is a brotherhood and a rift. That's what I'm saying. In political arena, in the political officials, there's a rift. But does it mean that these people don't communicate? Does it mean these people don't meet? Does it mean that these people are now total enemies? These people, they may be playing a game to us. And I will tell you that for free. Because at the end of the day, we must know the clarity of everything. But once the DP has come out, and again, even if there is that rift, you don't expect at this particular time and point DP to come out and say there is a rift. Still, we have to know that they were elected into the office as a presidency. Secondly, President Uhuru Kenyatta is still the boss. So you as a junior staff, when the day DP will come to the public and say there is a rift, then that is the day he may be stating to us that I'm resigning and I feel I can no longer work together with the president because there is no understanding, there is no correlationship, there is no working relationship between us. That is my point of...
I just want to add, or rather to make some few clarifications. My brother says that there is no rift. You know, when you have married and your wife is being hunted by the neighbors, do you keep quiet?
We are coming there, Mr. Milton. We are almost coming there. Now, there is something that Milton and Mark Vivian came up with, talking of until the president speaks and until the DP speaks from their mouth. Lakini kuna two msemos in Kiswahili and in English, ya kwamba when you see a dog barking in a neighborhood, then be very sure that the owner is around or it has an owner. And another one says that hakufukuzae hakuambii toka, where they say matendo ni zaidi ya maneno. Doesn't this apply in this matter? Look at the body language of DP in Solai the other day.
And maybe if I go back to you, the analogy of the dog, sometimes not just about the owner is present. The dog may be barking because there is a stranger in the vicinity. The owner may be sleeping, but there is a stranger in the vicinity. So let us also have the other side of the coin. And they say, somebody, when you lift a coin before two people, one person will say, I'm seeing a tail, another one will say, I'm seeing a dog. So none of them is wrong. It depends where they are standing from. It depends where they are standing from. The one who stands on the side of the tail, if we say I'm seeing a tail, he's very right. The one standing on the side of the head tells you I'm seeing the head. They are both right. But the thing is now we have to dissect and understand these two people. When are we waiting? Because when we go back and see how Moi downplayed everything, when he came to appointing the deputy, the then vice president, the late Professor Joyce Saitoti, may so rest in peace, and by then Uhuru Kenyatta. You see, he stated it very clearly that for me, when it comes to politics, it's not about friendship, it's not brotherhood, because if it's political friendship, then Saitoti is my friend. But when it comes to the leaders' matters of national interest, then I feel Uhuru qualified to be the president of this country. And you see, for him, he came out boldly, openly, and declared his stand. So for me, I'm also looking at that stance. When will it be appropriate for any one of them to come out and say, the way I'm seeing things are happening, then I feel I'm no longer needed.
So you believe in that? You believe in that school of thought?
Because one.
Yeah.
One. What if someone is testing your loyalty? What if somebody is testing, can you withstand the test of time? And then you run and make rash decisions. Who will it cost? It's going to cost the DP, nobody else. You know, whatever is happening right now, it is a trap. It's either whether DPs remain silent, it also paints him another picture. Whether he speaks, it paints him another picture. So it is him to know which card to display right now and which card not to display right now. Because in either way, it's a statement. Whether in silence, whether in speaking, it's a statement in itself. So the thing is, when is appropriate time for him to make a very clear statement to the public and to his boss?
Thank you. Now, let's look at the chronology of events, Mr. Milton and Mr. McVivian. How it began. It began with the Wetangula. You remember when he was still in the formally called, he began with the impeachment of President Uhuru Kenyatta, which flopped. Orengo came up again, he was mentioning Uhuru Kenyatta. The other day you see the campus come up with the issue of impeaching the deputy president. And I want us to go deep now, leaving aside all political matters. Let's look into what the law says, the grounds for impeachment of the deputy president, and see whether he has flouted any of the above. The first ground is the gross violation of the Constitution. Mr. Milton, where do you think, according to the argument of this group, where do you think the deputy president has violated the Constitution?
Chapter 9 of the Constitution about the executive is crystal clear about the processes of removal of a deputy president. Of course, the first grounds it talks about is mental incapability, mental or physical incapacitation. So if the vice president has been maybe diagnosed psychologically and fit to be a deputy president, that is sufficient grounds. But you see, our deputy president has not been diagnosed by that. The second grounds for removal, it talks about crimes. If the National Assembly finds that there are serious grounds to believe that he's been involved in criminal offenses, then that forms grounds to impeach the deputy president. And then the third ground talks about the gross violation or gross misconduct. So if you look at all those three grounds for removing the deputy president, as it stands, there is no sufficient grounds to actually initiate the motion to remove him from office.
That is as per you, Milton Lucheri.
I'm talking as a political analyst and also a student of law. There is no grounds sufficient for that. You understand that the processes that led to those kind of remarks from James Orengo came at the backdrop of the death of Kenei. You remember they said that it is his office that was responsible for the death of Kenei. And then they went ahead and quoted other reasons like corruption cases, insubordination to the to the president. You see, those kind of statements are all allegations and they are wrapped up in politics. They are not legal, empirically tested grounds that can be said, indeed, these are factual matters that can form sufficient ground for the removal of the vice president. And you see, the law does not state one by one the offenses under which the deputy president can be removed from office. It doesn't say if you are insubordinate to the to the president, you'll be removed from office. Or it doesn't say if you are engaged in corruption. It doesn't say that. It just puts a blanket statement, gross violation of the law or gross misconduct. You see, that is a very loose term. So you can use it the way you want. And that is why, that is what the opposition are seeking to use. They're seeking to use that loose term in order to initiate that process. But initiation of that process is a very cumbersome constitutional process. You wouldn't want to take that route if you were to remove the deputy president from office because of the nitty-gritties involved in that. You have to have a third of the member of National Assembly, and the third is about 115 members to just move the motion. And then once you've moved the motion, it has to be voted for by at least 230 members of parliament. That is a third of the parliament. After that, then the Speaker of the National Assembly must notify the Speaker of the Senate within 2 days that we have passed a motion of no confidence in the deputy president. And then that initiates another process at the Senate. And here the Senate will form a committee of inquiry to to look into the conduct of the Deputy President.
Many thanks, Mr. Milton. Let's briefly hear from Bwana McVivian whether those three grounds, if the Deputy President has violated any.
You know, one thing I say, it's very clear as a political analyst, the way my brother said, and as a student of law, that we have to understand, and the law stated very clearly, he who comes to seek justice must come with clean hands. The people who want to impeach the Deputy President, are they coming with clean hands? Are they coming with clean conscience? Because Chapter 9 is very clear, and Article 150, it's very clear. And realize when you talk about impeaching the Deputy President, when you end there, it also gives you reference to the same Chapter 9, the executive orders and the executive, and also the Article 144 and Article 145.
Without divulging deeper, because of time, do those three grounds, has the DP violated any, yes or no?
It's an assumption. It's an assumption.
We are coming into that. We go for a short break. Mr. Milton and Mr. McVivian are saying it as it is, politically, legally, and contextually. Remember to engage us on our social media platforms. Our Facebook is CAC TV Kenya, Twitter, CAC TV_Kenya, and also you can stream live on our YouTube channel. Keep it on CAC TV.